Robot vacuum cleaners, they are just getting more and more advanced every time I cover them, and this is no exception here from Dreame. The L20 Ultra is the most advanced to date that I have covered with some unique features. So it has a mop extend feature that solves one of those problems that we do have a robot vacuum cleaners, other models, where the mop can simply not get close enough to the edge of things. While this, it extends its mop out, and it's got then a lot better coverage. We have an empty auto clean station here, and it can also add the cleaning solution to the water. It has an internal tank of 70 milliliters, so it will rinse out those mops in the empty auto clean station right here, dry them at 45 degrees Celsius when it has finished its clean, and empty out the contents of the internal dustbin into the main dustbin here, which is 3.2 liters. Now, Dreame claims it can handle up to 75 days worth of dust and debris, and we've got water tanks that are 4.5 for clean water, 4 liters for our dirty tank. And then the navigation of this unit here, it's using LiDAR, and we do have AI obstacle avoidance, and I'm going to be putting that to the test, including a mistake that maybe a dog or a cat could leave behind. And no, it wasn't my cat Vera. But let's see if it's not going to run over this particular dog poop or cat poop and not smear it everywhere. It's just a fake one, so don't worry about that. But the obstacle avoidance in this model, you'll see that it's one of the best that I have tested out yet. It also has 7,000 PA of suction performance. It has Alexa, Siri, Google Assistant support. You can log into the camera and even do security rounds of your house with a live feed. This model here pretty much has you covered for everything you'd want in a robot vacuum cleaner. Let's take a look at what is included. So we have our extension for the base station. This here is a rather large user manual that is in various different languages for it. Then under this, you will find our side sweeper brush. So that is right here. We have this, which is just talking about, well, quick start there to get you all set up. It's also underneath the lid of the base station too, permanently there for us. We've got our 2 mops, so it's microfiber style, these mops here, and they're using magnets. That's the way they connect. Of course, these are removable, and you can just pull them off like that if you wanted to just wash them yourself, throw them in maybe the washing machine or something, and of course, eventually they will wear out, and you'll need to replace them later on. Then we have some cleaning solution here, and this is our power cable. That is the side sweeper brush. Looking at the underside, so our side sweeper brush, we've got our edge detection sensors, well, the full sensors, so it knows if there's a step, it won't go over that, of course. And then our 2 mops. Now, these mops here, we've got our mop rise, so that lifts the mops up, and they will be 10.5 millimeters up, and that is for short pile carpets. But for long pile carpets, this will actually leave the mops behind in our base station, and we have the mop extend. So this one here, it can move right out, as you can see now, and that means it mops right up against the edges of your floor. It's not going to leave any gaps now, so this is a really good feature to have. Up the top here, we have a carpet detection sensor, 360-degree wheel that is removable for cleaning, and our side brush, of course, that is removable. So these 2 wheels can handle climbs of up to 2 centimeters. The suction performance max is 7,000 PA, which is quite a lot. Now, we do have these 4 little lint brushes, and the main brush here, which is a rubber sweeper style brush, no bristles, does not get hair tangled up in it. And for maintenance, to remove it, very easy, just pinch those 2 little tabs together, and then you can pull off that cover and remove our rubber brush. The main brush can also raise and lower itself, and it does have a runtime of 180 minutes. That is in the quiet mode, both vacuuming and mopping, thanks to the 6,400 milliamp hour battery, which is quite a bit larger than what I typically see. The top of the L20 Pro does have a LiDAR setup, part of their Pathfinder Smart Navigation. The lid is held in place with magnets, and if you wanted to gain access to its internal dustbin, which is 300 milliliters, you can simply just lift that off and then remove it to empty it out. But we do, of course, have the auto empty station, so you probably won't be doing this at all. The filter is washable and it's a two-stage system. You'll see just in the inside here that there is this fine mesh that covers that filter. So that's the first stage, and the second being the filter itself. When the vacuum does empty this 300 milliliter dustbin, it is blowing from this side and sucking out from here. And that ensures there's going to be no blockage in the internal dustbin. The L20 Ultra has 3 backlit hardware buttons on the top of it here. So we've got spot clean, power on and off, and to send it back to the dock. And on top of that LiDAR laser, there are some microphones. That's for the live video feed. It also, because it does support Siri, Alexa, and Google Assistant. For navigation, it's not solely relying on the LiDAR too, because it does have 3D structured light obstacle avoidance at the front of it. We've got that camera for the live feed that you can log into, and it can identify 55 different types of obstacles with its AI obstacle avoidance. You'll see that either side here, we do have some LEDs. So if the ambient light isn't sufficient enough, it will automatically turn these on. Then the back of it here, we have the 2 charging contact points, infrared so it can line itself up with the dock, the water inlet for the 80 milliliter internal tank that will keep wetting these mops here. And note that these mops are currently in their raised state, that 10.5 millimeters as mentioned. And our base station, this is just over 60 centimeters in height. It will auto-empty the L20 Ultra, refill the internal water tank, and clean those mops, and even leave them behind if necessary. The washboard area is removable for maintenance, so you can easily wash that out. There will be some residue that eventually starts to build up in there, and you can wipe out the lower part here too. The auto empty compartment is right here. There's a little lock on there. You need to flick that latch and then you can now remove this. So it just pops off like so. And we've got our bag here. Now the capacity of this is 3.2 liters, and Dreame state that it is good for up to 75 days. Of course, that's going to be depending on how large your household is, how many animals, how many people, and they do include a spare bag that is slotted in the side. Now, when you do remove these bags, to show you, they seal themselves off. So there's a little tab here that closes over. And when you remove that, you're going to have no dust and debris coming out of it. Inside the lid, you will find a quick guide on the base station and then our water tanks here. So the clean water tank is 4.5 liters. The wastewater tank, this is 4 liters, and they are very easy to remove. You simply just slot them in and out. There are 3 touch buttons along the top here. So this is for drying. That's at 45 degrees. And with the app, you can set it to 2, 3, or 4 hours. This is to start and stop, home button. And if you press and hold this for 3 seconds, it will drain out the washing area for maintenance. Located in the middle of our base station, you will find where you put the floor cleaning solution. So it simply just slots down in here. And they do have a brush for maintenance of the washing area. And on the other side of this brush, there is a hair removal tool. And depending on your household, you could buy an optional kit so you can have plumbed in the clean water and the wastewater so you don't need to remove both of those tanks I just showed you before. This is our application, which is called Dreamehome. So once you've got it all added and you need to pair it up to your Wi-Fi network, you get this right here. So we have some shortcuts, common functions to just start cleaning, docket, real-time camera. So this here is very handy. There is a security code first that you do need to enter. Now my code is not, of course, secure, but that's just for this video. So once you're in here, you've got a live preview and you can manually control the L20 Ultra, go through and just have a look at your house. Now there's the cruise mode, which does allow you can see from this example, to go in and out of different rooms, and it's a basic security check of your house. There's a built-in microphone and speaker. You can talk to people with it. And if you've got pets, this is really great to check up on them if you are away from home. And trust me, it is handy, and I have used it a lot just to see how my animals are, how Vera is, my cat, and just to see that nothing's happened in the house, like the dishwasher hasn't exploded or hot water cylinder or anything. Once you go into it, you'll see the map, and if it has just been cleaning, you'll see exactly where it has cleaned and where it is going to go if it's currently cleaning. So we have right here the maps. Now you've got multi-map support here, so it's 4 different levels. No-go zones, virtual boundary. You can edit your areas, the furniture, carpet, and under here the display too, the floor material. You can change that as well. You can rotate the map. And as mentioned, there's up to 4 maps that you can save for the different levels, which is great. So we've got also the Clean Genius right here. So you've got an ultimate mode, which is a very thorough clean, and this will also do that mop extension. So it's going to get the mop right into the edges, go along cleaning them really well, thorough deep clean. Most people would probably just use the daily mode. So the daily mode here is just a normal kind of clean, but it will repeat the more dirtier areas, go over them again if needed, which is very good. Now you've got a lot of options here with your cleaning, so you can customize your cleaning, and I'll just show you some of the settings. There's a lot in here. So we have the vacuuming performance all the way up to 7,000 PA. You can just mop only. You can get it to, you can see here, just vacuum then too as well. You've got max suction power performance and all sorts of options. And even the style of mopping. So there's a deep mopping, the standard, and a water saving mopping there too if you wanted to. The cleaning sequence, there is really a lot in here. All the options you can think of is pretty much covered, including the base station. So you can set that when you want it to clean those mops, go through all of that. You can also tell it when to go back manually to wash the mops, but it will do it automatically. To dry or stop drying, auto empty, you can get it to automatically do that. Or you just manually do it yourself if you want to. There's just so many options in here. It's really endless. So when you take a look at the map, it is very detailed here, and you can go and clean for zones. And I love the fact that you can easily resize these areas here. You can set to go over it, for example, 2 times for the spot clean. You have your room cleans, and you can adjust the sequence of that and set that to be 1, 2, 3 times maximum for your cleans. And finally, there are a lot more settings in here. And I won't go through all of it, but we've got our carpet clean settings where you can adjust the mop, for example, if you want that to be lifted over the carpets or to leave it or completely avoid the carpets. Carpet boost there. So all of these options are in here. You have the AI recognition. I'll leave this on. I do have pets, so I have turned that on to the pet environment. And you can also get it to just clean around their surroundings carefully, so it's not going to be sucking up their food or causing any issues there, which is quite good. Handy option again for pet owners. Real-time camera settings, robot management. There is a lot in here. Your schedules, your history, floor cleaning settings, intelligent mop setting too. There's just so much in here. The app pretty much covers everything. There's so many options in this. So it has this huge feature set. It's got a lot of things that it can do, but what about that cleaning performance? I mean, it must be amazing, right? With all that is on offer here that Dreame have with the L20 Ultra. Well, it is very, very good. So when you do the first map, it'll go around the rooms very quickly and just map it out with the LiDAR. And then it was set to work going around the edges first. A systematic clean that we commonly see with these robot vacuum cleaners that I am covering. Now, if you are using the Clean Genie mode and you use the Ultimate Clean mode, which is very thorough, it will then, and you can adjust this in the settings too, by the way, it will use the mop extend and go around then and clean with the mop as close as possible to the edge of everything. And this works out really well. And it's certainly getting into areas where no other robot vacuum cleaners seem to be able to get. So it's getting a lot closer than they ever have before. So on hard tiled floors, the clean has been very good, and it's doing a great job with those mops too, going along and scrubbing the ground, cleaning it thoroughly. We've got the internal water tank, so we don't have to worry about it running out of water, but it can go back, of course, and will, how you set it in the application too, by the way, to then clean those mops in here. And that is standard of other machines that do this. It also will dry them out at 45 degrees Celsius, so there's no smells, there's no mold that's going to grow in there. Now, the cleaning performance with the tests that I have been doing, so I did my standard test, which is a teaspoon of coffee mixed with dirt, left to dry. Now, this is not a standard stain, this is super stubborn. Now, the first pass, you can see the L20 Ultra mopping here in the spot clean mop mode, with just a standard mop. It wasn't the deep mopping that I set it to. First pass was very good. It just left behind a couple of marks there. And then on the second pass, it had, I would say, pretty much 99% coverage. You might notice a couple of little specks on the tiles there. There are some little dents. That's probably that it was, but it did an exceptional job after the second pass. The first pass, yes, left a little bit there. So that cleaning performance was fantastic. Then when you take a look at the mops, with the coffee that I went over, yes, they were quite dirty. Now I put them into the auto clean station. I told it to rinse those mops out, and I did this last night. And you can see just before, this is the before, and now the after it's cleaned and dried those mops. They are super dry. Now I set it to 4 hours, and the mops, at least with my current temperatures, would actually be clean and dried only around about 2 hours here. So I did a very good job of cleaning them and drying them, which is really good to see. The mop lift function also did work well and will work well on your short piled carpets. Now, if you do have long piled carpets or mats, then of course it will go back, if you instruct it to with the app. Again, you've got those options there to then leave behind the mops inside our auto clean station and then continue to do its clean. Now the vacuuming performance and the mapping has been very good, so it goes all around the furniture as you'd expect for this style, and under beds, of course, all of that, and it will turn on those front LED lights, which is quite good to see. And you do have that option when you're using the live streaming feature with the video to turn on those if you wanted to. But the cleaning performance, when it was vacuuming and doing my mat test here, this is where I laid out some bits of paper, some cornflakes, some dust, long hairs, cat fur. It's quite a mess. It did a reasonably good job. You can see going over everything, but it did expose the weakness that I have seen with this style of brush. So the rubber only brush without the bristles is not as good at lifting up the hair. Yes, the benefit is it will not tangle up with hair. So if you have hard floors everywhere in your house, this is an ideal robot vacuum for that. But if you have a lot of cat fur or long hair, you can see with my test, sped up these results now that there was some hair left behind. So the coverage here was about 90%, leaving behind those fine hairs that were pressed into the top of the mat. So it will struggle a little bit with this style of brush. And I do hope that Dreame will offer a combination brush, which would be the rubber sweepers and also the bristles for this particular model, that users then can decide, or depending on your home, which one you want to use. Obstacle avoidance. Now, this is where I did my little poop test. We can call it that, right? So the artificial cat poo or dog poo I put down, and I really wanted it to miss this because you don't want that being smeared everywhere if it was real. And that's happened to a lot of people. I've heard a lot of these stories where people have had the basic, without the obstacle avoidance, robot vacuum cleaners, smear that mess everywhere. And you don't want to come home to that because that's going to turn a good day into a disaster, of course. So it went around the shoes, the USB cable, the sock, and the poop. No problems whatsoever. It never touched anything. Fantastic obstacle avoidance. It is the best I have seen yet. Final verdict then, this does an excellent job of hard floors. The mopping performance, we've got Clean Genius, which is going to detect if some areas are a little bit dirtier than others and re-clean them, like your kitchens. The Mop Extend, very good, that feature. And then the mops lift, the main brush can also lift up, and if it's got high piled carpets, if you have them in your house, then it can leave the mops behind here. So very good things to have in houses that do have the occasional high pile mat or carpets that you maybe just don't want it to go over it or even risk that, then it won't do that. You can set those options with its carpet detector. Siri, Alexa, and Google Assistant support. It has the live stream from the front camera. Very useful if you're away. You can log in, you can take a look at your house, do a little cruise, they call it, which is a basic patrol of your house, security patrol, to see everything is fine, or check up on your animals. Another good option to have there. Speaking of animals, if they accidentally do a bit of a mistake, your little poodle leaves behind a little gift for you, well, it's going to detect and see it. And it's got the built-in LEDs too as well, so it'll light it up, so if it's at night when it does its clean, it shouldn't go over it. In fact, it has the best obstacle avoidance that I have seen out of any robot vacuum cleaner with this more advanced feature. Then the cleaning station does a fantastic job. We've got the auto empty, cleans those mops really well, dries them out, so there's going to be no smells at all. We have the 4.5 litre clean water tank. We have the 4 litre dirty water tank. You could even hard plumb them in if you have that option at your house, so you don't even need to touch the tanks at all. The only maintenance you would have will be cleaning out the washing board area, probably about every month, and then maybe every 75 days, depends, up to it. You can then, of course, empty out the bag and you don't have to touch any of the dust and debris from that because it seals itself off. You just throw that into the rubbish bin. We have the 7000 PA of suction performance, which is also very good. That is one of the highest that I have seen and tested out. But we have that same weakness of the silicone or the rubber brush. So the rubber brush, not so great at lifting up fine hair, long hair, animal hair and human hair on your carpets and your rugs and mats and things. It will tend to leave a few of them behind, even with the 7000 PA suction performance. And I've seen this with other models that I have also been covering. If you want the really good lifting up of those hairs, then you need the bristles. Unfortunately, the bristles also trap the hairs and they get stuck, which at least doesn't happen with this. So overall, it is a very good advance with just so many features. Robot vacuum cleaner with its auto empty, auto clean station. Thank you so much for watching this video on the Dreame L20 Ultra.